long as he is president, we are going to have local government elections when they are constitutionally due, President David Granger told the first conference of local democratic organs. Hello, this is Info Hub for today, Thursday, July 26. And some other major headlines we're covering today. President Granger has also assured the National Two House Council that the lease for the land at Sophia to build their secretariat will be handed over and that a larger plot will be identified for the construction of a complex. 34 more families, including many young professionals, will have their own homes in Linden before the end of the year as CHNPA expands housing drive. Preparations for oil and gas is moving apace as government workers receive training. And now for the details. As long as he is president, we are going to have local government elections when they are constitutionally due, President David Granger told the first conference of local democratic organs. Here's our opening report.
The head of state made his recommitment as he opened the inaugural National Conference of Local Democratic Organs today.
And in less than a year after getting into office, we held elections. The Minister of Communities has announced that elections will be held again on the 12th of November this year. And on that date, we're going to have local government elections. And as long as I am president, we'll have local government elections when they're constitutionally due. I'll find the money. Don't worry with what you've been reading. I'll find the money to make sure we have local government elections. Democracy is expensive, but the alternative is worse.
President Granger added that local government elections was vital to fostering local democracy. He also said local democracy helps democratic decision-making and boosts communities' involvement.
The Constitution of our country clearly states that local government is a vital aspect of democracy and shall be organized so as to involve as many people as possible in the task of managing and developing the communities in which they live. All politics is local, and we have to ensure that at the local level, we involve as many people as possible, of all ethnicities, of all political parties, and in all communities. This government, consistent with its constitutional mandate, restored local democracy on the 18th of March 2016 after an absence of about 2 decades.
Today's conference follows the 2015 conference, which mandated elected local government officials to create a plan of action for regional development, and the National Regional Democratic Consultative Committee's conference in January 2017. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
Still with LGE, Communities Minister Ronald Bulkan has reassured that central government will not interfere with the democratic process of local government elections.
Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan reiterated this point at the inaugural conference for Local Democratic Organs Conference at the Arthur Chung Convention Center. He described the conference as historic.
It would not be unfair to say that it would have been considered unthinkable a mere 7 years ago. So far removed was the subject of local governance within local government, within the governance architecture. We are now in the era of people's empowerment, if not of the small man being the real man. Gone are the days of the micromanager. Gone are the days of control, domination, and intolerable interference by central government.
Chairman of the Local Government Commission, Mortimer Mingo, said the event provided the opportunity for consultation between central government and the local democratic organs.
This element of cohesion is absolutely essential to ensure harmonization, fairness, and equality. There is no doubt that this initiative to embrace collaboration is the best way forward to achieve a win-win outcomes where democracy, good governance, and development is achieved. Madam Chair, I wish to posit that no political system is considered complete and democratic if it does not have an effective system of local governance.
According to the chairperson of the Regional Democratic Council Region 4, Genevieve Allen, the NCLDO will facilitate the development of local government leadership. Today's conference follows the 2015 conference, which mandated elected local government officials to create a plan of action for regional development, and the National Regional Democratic Consultative Committee's conference in January 2017. For InfoHub, Stefan Gabriel.
President David Granger has assured the National Two House Council that the lease for the land at Sophia to build their secretariat will be handed over, and that a larger plot will be identified for the construction of a complex with additional facilities.
The move was announced by President David Granger on July 26 during an engagement with the NTC's newly elected chairman and executive members. At the State House deliberations, the president also announced that a large plot of land will be identified for the establishment of a complex that will include dormitories to accommodate two showers, conference rooms, and other facilities.
If you want the campus, with conference rooms, with accommodation, with benabs, with places where you could relax, we will give you what we feel the indigenous people demand and deserve. So our plans are grand, and we don't want to limit you to that spot, but we intend to deliver on our promise.
The head of state also assured the NTC executive that the government will work towards increasing the council's subvention.
So we are going to work on that. Luckily, this is July, and July is the start of the annual budget cycle. So I expect that the NTC will get its budget into the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs very soon, because we present budgets now in November.
The two showers expressed their willingness to work hand in hand with central government and the relevant authorities to advance their work program. Ministers of State Joseph Harmon, Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock, Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Valerie Garrido, and Minister of Social Cohesion Dr. George Norton were also present at the meeting. Sonika Thorne, InfoHub.
Now turning to news from the mining town of Linden. 34 persons are now closer to receiving their own homes.
The Central Housing and Planning Authority will construct 60 single housing units before the end of 2018 in Amelia's Ward, Linden. The project's first phase entails the construction of 20 single flat housing units and 14 single elevated housing units. These cost $5.3 million and $6.3 million respectively. Abigail Thomason and Nigel Newton were among the list of 128 persons allocated housing units. The young professionals encouraged others not to give up and be part of the process.
My encouragement to them would be is to don't give up. Apply once you reach the age. You do apply, and you never know, you will be selected.
I must say that I'm super excited that the minister has granted us this huge chest. I mean, I've been waiting. I applied since 2013 for my house lot, and from the minute I heard about the Core House project, I was super excited about it. Because what I've noticed that most young persons, especially those who have graduated, they have a hard time when it comes to starting out, especially with the family.
Those pre-qualified by the bank to have an allocation were invited to find out which among them will be among the initial 34 selected. The names were then publicly selected from an envelope. Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Valerie Adams Yearwood, said she referred to have the allocation done this way since it eliminated the question of favoritism.
Like everything else, this is the first time we're doing the identification of houses in this fashion. And I think Linden people need special treatment in a special way. And that's the reason why we've opted to come and do an open pulling or open drawing of the lots for the houses that we're building in Amelia's Ward.
She further encouraged those who were unsuccessful to not be disappointed that the CHMPA would be working to construct a housing scheme in Wizrock, which will see some 60 homes being built in 2019.
We are still trying to have the 60 houses built in Wizrock. We're still finalizing with the Co-op Society and Lands and Survey ownership of the land. As soon as that land is handed over to us, We're going to commence building 60 houses also in Wisra.
Those successful applicants will be briefed on the next step as they await the completion of their homes. Their names will be posted onto the CHMPA's Facebook page and website. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
But you can't do it out here no more. What? Smoking. The new tobacco laws, you can't smoke in place like this no more. You can get into trouble.
Man, what stupidness you telling me, man? I used to smoke out here all the time. We expect me for go now.
The new tobacco law says you can't smoke in indoor public spaces and some outdoor public places, like this bus park, hospital compound, school compound, and the stadium.
Well, I'm glad you tell me apart, no? I ain't gonna make the mistake ever again. I mean, you really want to affect nobody with me smoking.
Let's all work together to prevent cigarette smoking-related illnesses.
Government workers are being trained in preparation for oil and gas. Representatives from several government agencies participated in a workshop last week. Here is Stefan Gabriel with the details.
Lifting of crude oil refers to the act of loading crude oil from the floating, production, storage, and offloading unit to the tanker, which will then transport it to the global market. The crude lifting workshop at the Marriott Hotel was facilitated by ExxonMobil. It provided an introductory understanding of crude lifting and crude oil exports. It also established key points of contact where collaboration would be necessary to develop a coordinated multi-agency lifting procedure. This process will be governed by a crude lifting agreement to ensure a fair and transparent process and monitored by all entitled parties as well as independent verifiers. The participants received an overview of crude lifting operations, key elements of lifting agreements, measurement and metering, lifting schedule determination, and discussed key details of the procedure. Attendees included the Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman, Minister of Business Dominic Gaskin, and representatives of the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, Guyana Energy Agency, Guyana Defence Force Coast Guard, and Ministries of Natural Resources, Business, Finance, Foreign Affairs, and Public Infrastructure. For InfoHub, Stefan Gabriel.
First Lady Sandra Granger, speaking at the 22nd International AIDS Conference in Amsterdam, Netherlands, said that collaboration among all sectors of society must be stepped up so that there is universal respect for human rights.
The First Lady said that the world cannot be complacent when it comes to fighting HIV/AIDS. She explained that though the rate of the infection, the number of persons dying from AIDS, and mother-to-child transmission have declined in the Caribbean, there remain challenges. The First Lady said, and I quote, "The number of young people being infected is on the rise, which is partly due to youths not having access to comprehensive health and family life education and to sexual and reproductive health services. Also, a number of persons still refuse to be tested for AIDS. Key populations continue to encounter stigma and discrimination, hence the disparity in prevalence when compared to the general population." End of quote. She explained that these matters demand intensive efforts at the universal, national, and community levels to ensure no one, regardless of age, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation, is stigmatized or discriminated against. She stressed that they must all have equal access to care and treatment once diagnosed. The International AIDS Conference is the largest conference on any global health issue in the world. Convened during the peak of the AIDS epidemic in 1985, it continues to provide a unique forum for the intersection of science, advocacy, and human rights. Each conference is an opportunity to strengthen policies and programs that ensure an evidence-based response to the epidemic. Crystal Stahl for InfoHub.
As emancipation celebrations draw closer, Paul McAdam reminds us that we're born of their sacrifice, heirs of their pains, and ours is the glory their eyes did not see. Beautiful words from the national anthem that reminds us that our freedom should not be taken for granted.
Today, many Guyanese enjoy the benefits of a free country. However, this was done on the backs of many fallen heroes. Damon, Kofi, and Kwamina are among the more noticeable names to come to mind. In 1763, an Akan man, Kofi, captured in his native West Africa and stolen for slavery to work on the plantations of the Dutch colony of Berbice, led a revolt of more than 2,500 slaves. His commemorative monument sits along Vicinjan Road west of Durban Backlands. Whilst his attempt was futile, it was considered the first true attempt by enslaved Africans to gain their freedom in the region. ACDA's executive member, Eric Phillips, believes that Kofi is the true father of the nation.
We hear this argument that somebody is the father of the nation in political terms. But the true father of the nation is Kofi. That's why he's our national icon or national hero. But because of this dialogue about who is the father of the nation and it not being historically correct, we find that few Guyanese fully acknowledge Kofi as our national hero.
According to Phillips, Damon, who led the 1834 rebellion in Essequibo, was the first to advocate nonviolent protest before the likes of the Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr.
We should really appreciate Damon. We don't. I mean, his statue is in Anna Regina, so it's far away from where majority of people are. But before there was a Mahatma Gandhi, before there was a Martin Luther King, Damon was the icon, nonviolent protest. But we don't recognize Damon in those terms, but that's what he did. He was a precursor to Mandela, a precursor to Mahatma Gandhi in terms of how to solve problems.
Kwamina was instrumental in the uprising of more than 10,000 enslaved Africans on plantation success in Demerara in 1823. His actions, according to researchers, fast-tracked the emancipation process. Here's a fun fact. Kwamina Street was known as John Murray Street after the governor who put down that rebellion. The street was renamed in the freedom fighters' honor in 1985. A monument to him is erected at the junction of Kwamina and Carmichael Streets. Paul McAdam for InfoHub.
We leave you with your bridge and weather reports. Hambekal. That's Zulu for goodbye. Zulu is a language which is widely spoken in southern Africa, in Lesotho, Botswana, Mozambique, Swaziland, and of course, South Africa.